Mr. Speaker, sir, extramarital affairs, marriage or family breakdown is a two-way occurrence in our case. It can either happen on the location where the worker is involved abroad at work or with the spouse back at home. But our information is that most of them have happened abroad, where the workers are based. And research shows that marriage breakdown or extramarital affairs stem from poor communications, lack of intimacy, money issues, and growing apart as life takes different twists and turns. Mr. Speaker, sir, issues such as this that deal with human values and behavior are beyond our control. However, the concerns raised require an understanding of such human behavior. Addressing this issue also requires multidisciplinary approaches and multi-stakeholder collaboration. No government can resolve this alone. But together, sir, we can take preventive and corrective measures to improve and minimize such painful incidents. I will outline some preventive measures our ministry is now taking. Mr. Speaker, sir, since the inception of the PALM scheme in 2019, 1.5% or 65 out of 4,351 Fijian workers engaged under the scheme have been involved in extramarital affairs. While the percentage is insignificant, even one family abandoned by the breadwinner or the head of the family should be a matter of deep concern to all of us. The number of reported cases received on welfare issues around this, sir, under the scheme began in 2021. It's a major social impact faced by workers' families here in Fiji, including related issues such as non-communication and no remittance. And Mr. Speaker, sir, a vast majority of them, when they get involved in such affairs, they abscond. They're not at the work site where they were. They run away from the employers and hide somewhere else. So we lose contact with them. And our embassy people, our High Commission people, our counterparts in Australia, the DFAT people, try to locate them. It becomes very, very difficult. So far, through intervention by the employers, through intervention by our diaspora there, we have been able to resolve 3 cases. Mr. Speaker, sir, so since we came into government, my ministry and this coalition government have achieved a lot, ensuring the well-being and welfare of the workers under the scheme first. We visited our workers in both Australia and New Zealand within 3 months of coming into office to assure them of our commitment to hear their concerns, to talk to our bilateral partners, to talk to their employers, the unions, and to make them feel that they are cared for, sir. Make them feel important. They were indeed thrilled to see us, sir. And many got emotional because it was the first time in 4 years any government official had ever visited them. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are now strengthening our collaborative efforts. We have established a senior officials work group between the Fiji government and the Australian government, which is chaired by my permanent secretary, and collectively discussing and continuously exploring solutions. So in improving collaboration with our local community, we have signed an MOU with the Ministry of Itaukei Affairs to support my ministry in sharing information and also in preparation of potential Fijian workers through their community connections for communal support and identification of potential leaders of the groups that go out and work there. We feel that connection of our workers with the Vanua through the chiefs, the Turangani Koros, and the community and church leaders could help minimize the concerns raised. Mr. Speaker, sir, for extensive understanding about work in Australia, including managing the culture shock, we will be expanding our pre-departure training program from 4 days to 2 weeks. And we will also take this out now to the communities, to the districts, where families, spouses can also come together for the whole program, for better understanding of how and what to expect out there, and what are the expectations of the family here. We will also involve other stakeholders when we are conducting this pre-departure training programs. Sometimes there is over-expectation from the family back home, and workers get frustrated when all they earn has to be sent home and they save nothing. I have met some of them and they have shared this with me, and that is why we impress upon families to make sure that the culture of saving is observed, and the workers know that they are going to benefit from the savings at the end of the period they are working there. So, pastoral care and welfare support is the key to addressing vulnerability, and this is being done through the appointment of our first ever country liaison officer. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to thank the Australian government for allocating funds for a country liaison officer in 2021. But unfortunately, it took us 2 years, more than 2 years, and a change in government to appoint a country liaison officer. We have just appointed one, and he's on the ground. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would also like to thank the Honourable Minister for Finance for allocating funds for a second liaison officer in Australia, because it's a vast country and our workers are spread all over. And we are now in the process of advertising and appointing the second one. And we are now in conversation with the Australian government to provide funding for one more. If they don't, then I'll come back to the Honourable Minister of Finance, because we need 3 in Australia and 1 in New Zealand. Mr. Speaker, sir, with our new country liaison officer now on the ground, he will be the key contact person. He will be visiting workers, workplaces, talking to employers, solving problems, and ensuring that any communication from the families coming here to us will be forwarded to him to make sure that our workers out there are not behaving in a manner that is undesirable. So that's one major step we have taken, sir. And we also have our High Commission people who are now continuously assisting us as well. Mr. Speaker, sir, other avenues that the ministry is embarking on is ensuring transmission of funds directly. We are now in the process of discussing with the employers to get a deed of consent between the employer and the worker done, so that the employer can deduct a certain amount and send it directly to the spouse here at home. We're also discussing what happens now, sir, is the fares are paid. The fare is paid by the employer, and they deduct it slowly from the wages. So what we want to do now is to ask them to deduct a little more so that the return fare is also, available. So any worker who gets involved or misbehaves, all we will need to do is to get the ticket, put them on the plane, and send them back home. And of course, they will not be able to go back again. Mr. Speaker, on family accompaniment and Pacific engagement visa, the Australian government has committed to piloting a visa arrangement allowing PALM workers on long-term placements to bring their families to Australia. This is aimed at addressing the social impact of long periods of family separation. We hope that this will work well. It's a scheme that is being piloted now with a limited number from the entire Pacific, and hopefully the numbers will increase. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me also to acknowledge the work and dedication of our church leaders through the Pacific Council of Churches, including our very own Fiji Council of Churches. These stakeholders play a very crucial role in enhancing the spiritual aspect of our workers to remain faithful, committed to their callings and families. Last month, I participated in their Talanoa session here in Suva on pastoral and practical care of our migrant workers to have a better understanding of how we could collaborate more closely to support our workers and their families. And sir, they have now got a plan on how our churches are going to assist our workers out there in Australia and New Zealand with pastoral care. Mr. Speaker, sir, on other developments, as part of the way forward, the strengthening of our people-to-people links to review the Vu Valley Partnership Agreement was held last week between Fiji and Australia senior officials here in Suva. Now this will lead, sir, to the review of the Labour Mobility Agreement and will address a number of the current issues and concerns that now have emerged. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I highlighted earlier, on the coalition government's commitment to address emerging issues, during our ministerial visit to both Australia and New Zealand, we also had several community engagements organized by our Fijian communities. And these Talanoa sessions were very fruitful, sir, because we were able to extract a lot of information from them regarding how our workers are faring there. At the same time, they are assisting us in making sure that our workers are in connection with them. They are having church service together with the communities, and they are able to see that they do not fall on the wayside. Mr. Speaker, sir, in acknowledging the concerns raised by some of the key stakeholders, as alluded to earlier, that we need a multi-stakeholder approach to address welfare concerns holistically. My ministry is currently discussing on the establishment of an interagency committee to tackle these concerns. Mr. Speaker, sir, while there have been issues of performance and welfare concerns for some of our workers and their families, I would like to also acknowledge that most of the workers who have remained focused have been able to benefit immensely from the scheme. We know about the remittances that have been coming. We know of the success stories that have come through the social media, have come through the mainstream media, and from the workers themselves who have come back. They have either started their own businesses, they have improved their living standards, they have improved their homes, they have improved their villages, and the like. Sir, enhanced labour mobility is a shared priority of the economic relationship. We commit to working together with the Australian government and their representatives to ensure that the scheme is mutually beneficial, and also to ensure that our workers get fair treatment and are in good spirits and connected to the family back home, so that we are able to reduce and eradicate the problem on hand. Mr. Speaker, sir, I have given a list of all those preventive and corrective measures that we are taking, and we are hopeful that we will be able to resolve this problem going forward. Thank you very much, sir.